Hi everyone, I'm Luke M. Hawker. I'm an artist based here in the UK. This is Robin, and I'm going to show you through some of my work today and why I choose Arch paper. Right, so I'm going to start by showing you some of my large format work, which is really where it all started for me. So we're going to have a look at this piece. This is the Royal Up House in London, and this is typically the scale I prefer to work at. This is drawn at the easel, all on location using pen and ink, so I don't use any rubbers or rulers. I just kind of go in freehand, and that's really what started off my career. So just to give you an idea of scale, I think this is 56 by 76 centimeters, and it's just a really great size to work at with the easel, whether you're working in the studio or you prefer to work on location like me. But this is 300 weight, so yeah, I'm a big fan. I've been using Arch for about 10 years now, so yeah, just really brilliant paper. Right, so this is the next piece I want to show you. This is the Royal Albert Hall in London. I spent 2 nights in the hall working away, again drawing on location, with the amazing Anna Lapwood here. You can see her at the organ there. And I think again it just kind of shows the scale that I work at, the importance for me to work from life. I think to do that you do need a medium that you trust. I only ever take one sheet, which is important. I think like mentally I always try and just kind of work through problems rather than having a backup. This next piece I want to show you is an etching. I do a lot of etching work, and for that I use vellin d'Arche. Now I apologise if I haven't pronounced that correctly. The reason I use it is because I trust Arch paper, and so when I was looking for the perfect printmaking paper, I trialed a few different brands really, and this just came out, yeah, far superior. When I'm drawing out on location, my technique is very much a layered based approach. So I'll get the first layer that I see. It's very much about pinning down the perspective, and that's why I use a fine liner, because it allows you those soft layers that I can see the mistakes, see where I'm going right, and then build on those layer upon layer. So this is the pen I typically use, slightly larger than one I normally use, but you can see here it's got a fairly fine nib. And that's, again, going back to the paper, is why I used a hot press, because it has that smooth finish, and it means that I can glide over the paper with the fine nib without replacing one every 10 minutes. And actually I can work through a whole piece in maybe 1 or maximum 2 nibs, which is really good actually. So yeah, so in terms of technique, I just keep working and going, and I work for hours. So the longest I've worked continuously at the easel was 12 hours. And typically I'll spend about 8 hours working on a piece, just kind of non-stop. And again, like going back to the paper, the fact that it's smooth, it's robust and it's stable definitely helps me kind of just eliminate one factor from my mind. I can rely on it and I can just focus on the process. So I use 2 different papers from Arch. The first one is the hot press, which is just brilliant for kind of reasons that I've hinted at before, but primarily it's the fact it's so nice and smooth and stable, and it allows me to work for hours and hours and hours and end, layering it up, building my image, which is how I like to work. So this is Arch hot press, which gives it a smooth texture, which for me is really important because I work in a fine line pen. The other paper is vellin d'Arche, and this is a print paper. So you can see it's quite different from the hot press in that it has a texture here, and that I think just kind of for printmaking helps bring the final print to life, and all the fine work, all the mark making, if you like, is done on the copper plate. So this is the copper plate of this particular etching. So all my smooth requirements that are kind of led me to my hot press paper aren't so important for the paper of printing. So instead I favour that texture, which again I just think kind of helps bring it to life but doesn't compromise the quality of the line. Yeah, so another great paper. I also use a thicker weight than I tend to draw with. So this is a 400 weight vellum, and yeah, it's just been just incredible, considering that you have to put it through a lot. The printmaking process, you have to soak it in the water bath, then put it through the press, and it still comes out perfect like that. So that's why I use those two different papers. So the first time I used Arches was actually, I would say, about 10 years ago now, where I first headed out at the easel and knew I wanted to produce something that was really kind of significantly larger than anything I'd created before. And obviously that experience just went well. And then as soon as I knew I could trust that paper, I just kept on using it and kept on realizing that actually it was a really reliable paper that I could use out on location. For me, I'm often working in kind of all different kind of weather, and even if it does have like a slight quick little sprinkle of rain, it normally just recovers really quickly. So basically I trust it from that first use 10 years ago when I was drawing Tate Britain, I believe it was, yeah. If I was to summarize the paper in one word, it's going to sound like a boring word, but actually to me it's really important. But stable. I think with working on a paper as an artist, you're just hoping that it does stay stable in all different kind of atmospheres. And one thing I've found with the paper is that it is completely stable and I can rely upon it. So a boring word, I could pick others like tactile and things like that, but one word, stable, most important, and that's the one I kind of go back to it for.